Alright, here we are. This is Paramay Trades. This is Paramay Trades Journal. So this is my personal journal that I am hoping to make public here at some point. They are not public yet. They are private. But we're still doing them. We're still doing these because, well, we need plenty of practice. And we're looking at live cattle today. And we're going to look at the CoT report. And we're just going to look at some pivots. And oh boy, what do I want to say about cattle? So it's the 5th of March right now. It's not quite Friday yet, so we don't have an additional report to work with. We will tomorrow. So we'll probably do another update tomorrow. But for the moment, we're going to look at this week's report, which was just the previous report. This is the 25th of February. And we can see there's a considerable amount of sentiment change on the part of commercial interests with live cattle. So we are up over 80%. And if you're new to the channel or to the video journaling here, anything over 80% is considered to be an extreme positive outlook by commercial interests. So I don't take this lightly, and I typically don't when it comes to commercial interest, because that's our area of study here. So this is the 6-month index, up over 100. So that's a new high here. And on the 3-year, we're up over 80. So the last time they breached 80% was back here on, let's see, is that September? That's September 10th. This is the last time they breached on the 3-year index. So let's keep note of those two things. Back in September, so probably early September, they started getting bullish on the 3-year index. And we can see quite a similar pattern here. This is from April from 2019, and they started getting bullish. So let's look at these two things. Let's look at when they started to turn, when commercial interests really started to lift their head on the 3-year index and breached. So that's from April to September. So that's quite a breadth there. So let's just do this so that we know and we remember here. So 2019 April to September. And what we've got now is quite a rapid change in direction as well. So at least on the 6-month index is what gives us a quicker response. If you're kind of like a swing trader, an intraday trader, you're looking for something from like 1 to 2 weeks, or maybe something more. So what are we looking at here? Probably about middle of 2019 December, so mid-December to present day here. All right, so we're going to look at those two dates just to see, with the sentiment shift of commercial interest, where the chart went, because we're using this as a leading indicator, one of our leading indicators, to find sentiment and direction that the market is going to go in. So let's take a look. April 2019 to September, and then mid-December to the present day. So remember, they were getting bearish on the 6-month index from middle of October to beginning of December. So it's 2019, middle of October to beginning of December. So let's just look at those things, right? Let's look at these 3 different areas where they were coming off a bullish or positive outlook, and then they got extremely negative, and then they switch feet here, and now we're going the other direction. So hopefully the chart can tell us something, right? If commercial interest has anything to do with market sentiment, if they know if they're gonna, if this group, if this big money is really going to be on the right side of the trade and we want to follow them, well, let's see what these numbers can tell us, because this is one of the cleaner shifts in sentiment in the commodities market that I've seen. From one extreme to the next, not hopping all over the place, quite consistent. I mean, this is there's some consistency here with a rise in positive outlook or, net long contracts, at least in a 6-month period and a 3-year period. So let's take a look at the chart. So I do have, let's just get this down here a little bit so we can see this chart a little bit better. I do have on the, when looking at live cattle on the 8-year study, the seasonal 8-year study, that there is a propensity for a March decline, and that's why I marked this off here, because typically there's a decline in March. Let's see if we can bring that chart up real quick, just so we can take a peek at it here. Well, that's not what we're looking at here. And sometimes it does that when I shift charts. All right, so this is something that Larry Williams did. It's something that I wasn't paying attention to until I read Larry's books here on, on the seasonal effects of, commodities here. So, I mean, cattle's been getting killed, right, for, at least about a month here, a little less than a month here. It's been getting killed pretty good. So, this season in general, at around this time of year, looks pretty darn bad. Looks pretty bad. They're off to their worst start. So, maybe ensuing rally isn't out of the question here. But we do see in this area, there is, towards the end of March, there is a strong propensity for. So I guess this is towards the end of March. I thought this was at the beginning. No, this is at the end. So is there a case for a strong rally in live cattle towards this time of year? This season seems to support it, but the remaining seasons don't seem to support it that much. If we just kind of follow these seasons here, live cattle does not look to do that well towards the end of March. But we are already on a very sharp decline towards the beginning of the season. So this is down, this is down a lot, right? This is down a great deal. This is the current season. So we are down from, let's see, 1.6% down, 14%. So this is down almost 15%. So there's not a strong case this time of year for a rally. So why are commercials getting really bullish at this point in time? Are they going to rally to the end of the season or to the end of March here? It's possible. I mean, one supporting season. Well, we got more than that, right? Can we find another season where we rallied a little bit before the decline? We've got another supporting season right around this time period. And this one started a little earlier. So, are we gonna get a rally here before the end of March? Tough to say. We've got 2 seasons that support, 2 out of the 6 seasons support it, but the rest of the seasons don't look like they support a strong rally here. So it's not out of the question, but the average doesn't look that great. So can we ride this rally up, this supposed rally up, and then look for a sell opportunity? This looks pretty bad, right? It doesn't look good. Doesn't look good for cattle. It doesn't look that great at all. You know, on a seasonal chart here, this looks pretty bad. This looks like an ensuing. But you know, you can look at the S&P, and it really just depends on what the heck is happening in the economy too. When you look at the S&P, and typically it rallies this time of year. It's not rallying right now. The indices are getting crushed. Absolutely getting crushed right now. So we don't have an overall outlook on the seasonal chart that really favors what we're about to talk about, or where commercial interest is right now. Could they switch direction here towards the end of March? Sure. 2 supporting seasons out of 6. Tough call. We are pretty darn low. You know, can it keep going? It could keep going. That's for sure. That's definitely not the question. So with the seasonal chart behind us here, can we look at commercial interests and say, well, I would like to be on the right side of the trade with this big money here. What can we do from an analytical perspective here that would favor our decision to take a long position with commercial interest? So we said we were going to look at a couple of different dates, right? April to September, and why we were going to look at April. So there's April last year to September. All right, and we were going to look at mid-December of 2019. It's probably about middle ground right about here. To the present day. To our present day. And we're also going to look at the middle of October. We'll look at the middle of October to the beginning of December. Right, so here's a time period that we want to look at. Here's a time period that we'd like to look at. And here's our present time period that we'd like to look at. All right, so from April to September, what did commercial interest look like? April to September. Okay, so we've got April to September. So April went from an extremely negative outlook into September was a positive outlook. So from negative to positive. All right. So April was negative to positive here, and that's this period right here. So we'll go negative to positive. So they're shifting their outlook here, right? Here's their negative outlook, extremely negative outlook, into September, and they shifted from negative to positive. So here, you put your P over here, put your negative down here, right? Looks like a D, doesn't look like a P. And we're not even gonna. Okay, yeah, we'll just do that real quick. So then we'll take middle of October to the beginning of December. So what did the middle of October look like? Middle of October was the shift in sentiment, right? So we're coming off extremely positive outlook into the beginning of December was negative. So positive, that we're going to go positive to negative outlook, right? So they had a positive outlook here, and they shifted into a negative outlook. And then, so we don't even need to look at the chart. We know they went from a negative outlook to an extreme positive outlook. Now, I don't know if you can already see the correlation here, but if we go extreme positive outlook to extreme negative outlook, right in this area, right? So shifting positive outlook to negative outlook, extremely negative outlook. They've got a negative outlook up here, right in this area, commercial interest. So, remember that the report that we generate is now in a graphical representation because we were able to put this into DOS. So here's your shifting negative outlook. We're under 20%. As though they're holding a negative outlook up here, what happens? Market shifts down. Shifting from a negative to a positive outlook, right? So now we're breaking up on the 3-year index and the 6-month index, well over 80%, for a number of weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For 6 weeks, they're loading up on their net contracts, on their net long positions, right in here. What happens to the market? Market sentiment shifts. Right, so we don't have data way back here, but we can see that commercial interest is well below for a number of weeks. What happens to the market? Market sentiment shifts. So now we've got, from a very extended negative outlook here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. Almost 7 weeks of negative outlook before they start shifting their sentiment. And this is on the rise here. On the rise, on the rise, on the rise. So we've got at least 2 weeks above the 80% range. So how long will it be before the market sentiment shifts? Are we gonna go straight through March, or right into the end of March? This would be a very different outlook in comparison to the seasonal, which is the end of March is a rapid decline, and it's quite consistent over almost all the years. So we're gonna get a short rally here for a couple of weeks before we get a sharp drop off. And it's worth noting that there's one season out of, well, this season dropped off, but it didn't, it recovered. But most of the seasons did not. I mean, we got this season here that kind of traded sideways a little bit, up from its high to a sideways trading. But the seasonal study supports at the end of March a rapid decline. So what are we going to do here? The season not like the others because commercial interest is very bullish right now. Is extremely bullish right now. Market sentiment's moving down, and typically when market sentiment is low, we think rally. So here, we've got this marked off here. Market sentiment was really low as cattle was sharply declining. So we had low market sentiment, and then market sentiment starts shifting up. We do not want to be in the pool of interest when market sentiment is at its highest. This is typically where you think about getting short. You think about getting short here, you think about getting long, back here. It was some months, yeah, before it rallied up. But we had a nice range to work with here. The range broke down, and now we're in really oversold territory, right? Spent a lot of time in a weak state. So you think rally, market sentiment down, WPR in the oversold range. You think rally up a little bit. Oh, this is a nice rally. This is a nice bounce. This was a better bounce. So we're gonna fill this gap here and get a little bounce play. I think so. I mean, I can't ignore this. I can't ignore this. So with market sentiment shifting as low as it is, this is when you want to start thinking about getting in the pool. And what I'm really enjoying here is open interest too. So we couple open interest with this as well. This is what bulls like to see. Diminishing open interest, comms are bullish, take it the other way. And we see this time and time again on the charts. So thanks again, Larry Williams. So what are we getting here? Are we getting a decline in open interest before this gets taken the other way? Are you a buyer here? Are you a buyer in this area? So I'd like to quickly just analyze the ZM chart too. So with all this business that's going on with the coronavirus and the stock market and global economies and the Feds and everybody else that's involved in perpetuating fear across the markets on a daily basis, the yo-yo of hope and despair, quite consistently. We had pointed this out probably a number of weeks ago because we were bullish on ZM. Why were we bullish on ZM? Well, there's a number of reasons. Number one is our leading indicator got extremely bullish on ZM. I'm going to save this. I'm just going to post it in Discord. So hopefully you guys, hopefully at this point you're in Discord, and you're hanging out in our community, and you're looking at charts with us. What are these, grains? Is ZM grains, or is that softs? It's probably under grains, right? So we'll just do a little ZM look back, make sure we've got that chart on there. And let's just take a quick snip and sketch here of ZM. So there was a video on soy meal, right? But we had a similar scenario, right? Commercial interest is getting extremely bullish on this. They have an extreme positive. 80 is our extreme positive outlook. And they were getting positive back here, right? So we had a little bit of a pump up. We came up against the ATR range that's not present on this right now, but we can turn the ATR on. Came up right against this ATR range, and it dumped down a little bit. It was very unfortunate. But if you held, or you found a better position, so maybe you got your trailing stop got knocked you out of the trade, and we said, are you a buyer down here? So we broke this bottom range. And now we have an undervalued WPR, oversold, undervalued, diminishing open interest. Open interests are low right here. We get some short traps here? Because it sure as heck looked like a lot of people were selling off here and they thought ZM was going down. Comms did not believe that. Comms, look at this chart. Within a 3-year period, they have not been this bullish on soy meal. They have been bullish at times. They've been bearish at times too. It's hard to, in a 3-year index, there's not a lot of movement, so you got to pay attention to the 6-month index to find out find out the movement of commercial interest. But this was a recipe for success here, with quite a few of our indicators. Declining market sentiment, think rally. Market sentiment's extremely high, think short. So we're on the rise here. You don't wait for it to peak to get out, not at all. And this is why we mark this off. It may be time to get out of, well, it's already looking like it's time to get out of ZM, right? We have not been playing this chart, we've been playing other charts. But market sentiment on the rise, and we've got this. I've got this marked off here because it's, sentiment's starting to go up. You got to think about it's time to get out of the pool here. It's time to get out of. It's time to close your position. We're oversold. Market sentiment's on the rise. Open interest is extremely high. These boys are extremely bullish on ZM. Where's this going to go to in the following weeks? I don't know. But they were getting bullish back here. They've been holding a positive outlook for some time now. So doesn't that look a lot? Doesn't this scenario look a lot like what live candle looks like right now? And you got to ask yourself. I've got to ask myself. Well, yeah, we know there it is. We knew we kind of had some notion that ZM was going to break here, right? We kind of knew this. We were looking for it, and it did. And we haven't played this because we've been looking at the S&P. So, I mean that's that. That and the Euro FX. We've been paying attention to that quite handsomely. So, not trying to spread myself too thin here. And we kind of dropped the ball on ZM. But live and learn and love and all that good stuff. So let's come back to live cattle. And this is why we're talking about this now, because this is our 5-minute chart, but I like the 15-minute chart. There's no big surprise there. So we're saying, market sentiment's low, even on the 15-minute chart. Think rally. You got a nice little rally. Got a nice little pump here. We did not get up over this this high pivot, so this is being pretty pesky for bulls to get up over now. But we've got a nice trading range between 107 and 112. So are you a buyer down here? With commercial interest as bullish as it is, are you a buyer down here? So maybe you saw this, short-term or intermediate swing pivot, and you thought, okay, this is it. We're on our way. We thought the same way with ZM too. We said, well, this is it. There was a strong sell-off. It broke the bottom of the range, and they took it and went the other way. So we're going to get a similar scenario play out. I mean, all we've got is charts to look at, so I can't say for certainty whether this is going to go up or not, especially with all the business that's going on in the market right now. Comms seem to think so. Can we get a nice build-up going down here? Nice accumulation, and then this is going to take off? I got to tell you, I'm a buyer. I like to see this sentiment come down just a little bit more, and then I'm a buyer here. Right? Comms are bullish, market sentiment's moving down. I don't know where the market sentiment comes from, or where this, they derive their numbers for market sentiment, but again, over and over again, something new that we've been working with, but we like to think rally when market sentiment is low. Right. Let's look at the unfortunateness of ZM. And then this was, market sentiment was low. Think rally. We found that nice pivot, and then it took off. Are we getting a nice? We got a nice pivot on cattle right now, and until it breaks that low, you got to think. You got to think this is going to rally up. So we're in a sharp decline right here now. So it'd be interesting to find out where is ZM right? Well, they're pretty high. They're up pretty high. Are they willing to give this up yet? Well, that part I don't know. Doesn't look like it. We'll look at the numbers this week, so they'll be coming out tomorrow. But are we going to get a similar scenario here? Quite possible. I mean, this is a very bullish, positive outlook commercial interest chart. You're going to pump up and then see that March decline. It's possible. But I got a feeling here that with WPR as low as it is, with declining open interest, with bullish commercial interest, market sentiment declining, sitting right above this gap here, just about to fill it. Are you a buyer up in here? You know, it's looking like I haven't cleared out that low just yet, that higher low. We did bust this, and we did bust this uptrend line, but is this gonna? And do we have a nice? We got a nice W pattern to support this. We did here for a break, and then we've got that nice M pattern to support the bearishness. So we're gonna need to see a little bit more. But for me, I don't think I'm gonna need to see much more. Even if it breaks down here, maybe I put my bids down here, fill that gap. That's live cattle. That's what I gotta say about live cattle. Keep your eyes on live cattle because, keep your eyes on live cattle. Keep your eyes on commercial interest. So we're gonna have a report out tomorrow, and we're gonna find out exactly what commercial interest thinks about this. In the Discord, we do have some news articles based on live on the meat market. So, and take a peek in there if you haven't already. If you're a part of the group, if you're not a part of the group, yeah. Yeah, that's all I got to say about live cattle. Hopefully you find yourself on the profitable side of the trade, and we'll see you on the other side.